In 1876, a young researcher arrived in the harbor city of Trieste on a mission that seemed straightforward. He was there to solve a biological mystery that had puzzled the scientific community for generations: how the European eel reproduced. That researcher was Sigmund Freud. Long before his work in psychology, Freud spent weeks in this laboratory dissecting hundreds of eels. He was looking for a male reproductive organ, examining specimens under a microscope for hours. He found nothing. Eventually, Freud walked away from the laboratory and shifted his focus to the human mind. The eel remains one of the few things to ever truly defeat his analytical rigor. 2,000 years before Freud's failure, Aristotle faced the same wall. Because he could find no evidence of eel larvae or eggs, the philosopher concluded that they must spontaneously generate from the river mud itself. The eel is a biological anomaly that has outmaneuvered human observation for over 20 centuries. Even today, with deep-sea submersibles and high-definition cameras, no human has ever witnessed a European eel mating or laying an egg in the wild. All evidence points to a single origin, the Sargasso Sea. It is defined not by land, but by 4 massive ocean currents. This sits directly alongside the Bermuda Triangle, placing the eel's life in a highly unpredictable region. The entire life cycle of this fish is anchored in a location where the geography itself is an anomaly. It begins as a leptocephalus, a transparent, leaf-shaped larva. With no parental guidance, these fragile organisms drift across the open ocean for up to 3 years, riding the currents toward the European coast. As they reach the mouths of freshwater rivers, they transform into glass eels. They transition from the salt of the Atlantic to the fresh water of European rivers, moving upstream to begin their adult lives. They stay in these rivers for decades, hunting at night and hiding in the mud. Some individuals live for over a century. One specimen in Sweden reportedly reached the age of 155. For most of its life, the eel is essentially dormant, waiting for an internal biological trigger that will eventually drive it back to the ocean. This explains Freud's frustration in 1876. The reproductive organs he was looking for do not exist for the majority of the eel's life. They only develop when the fish begins its final journey. When that journey begins, the eel's body undergoes a violent physical overhaul. Its stomach entirely dissolves. Its digestive system shuts down, ensuring that the eel will never eat again. The eyes swell to twice their size to see in the deep-sea darkness, and the skin turns a metallic silver. This is the silver eel stage, a body re-engineered for a single one-way trip to the abyss. Every internal and external change is a biological mandate, preparing the animal for a migration it cannot survive. Now unable to eat, the eel swims 6,000 kilometers back to the Sargasso Sea, fueling the months-long journey by burning its own body fat. One theory suggests they follow a map written in their DNA. Millions of years ago, the continents were much closer. As the Atlantic widened, the ancestral route stretched, forcing modern eels to follow a path to a sea thousands of miles away. Researchers use GPS tracking tags to follow these silver eels. For weeks, data shows them moving steadily westward across the open ocean. But the moment the eels cross the perimeter of the Sargasso Sea, the trackers stop. The signals disappear. Despite our reliance on global satellite networks, we remain just as blind as Aristotle and Freud the moment the eel reaches its destination. This raises a fundamental question of biology. Why does an animal that can live for over a century destroy its own digestive system just to reproduce once? The answer is likely a matter of survival for the next generation. The Sargasso Sea is nutrient poor, and the theory is that the dissolving bodies of the parents provide the only source of nourishment for their newly hatched young. While this cycle has functioned for millions of years, human obstacles are now breaking it. Dams, pollution, and overfishing have caused eel populations to drop by 90% in just a few decades. We are witnessing the disruption of a cycle of sacrifice that has defined this species for millions of years. We are currently on track to drive the European eel to extinction before we have even witnessed its birth. In an age where we map the seafloor and track animal migrations via satellite, this species manages to keep its life cycle hidden. The European eel serves as a reminder that the natural world still holds secrets that are entirely beyond our reach.